Welcome to Infinity Squared Online, where the opportunities to learn increase exponentially by the minute. With your host, Amairani. Come on, let's learn, it's time to learn. Come on, let's learn, it's time to learn some cool new stuff. With science, technology, engineering, arts, agriculture, and math. Hey guys, and welcome back to A Moment of Science with me, Amairani. I am so excited that you're back. I'm so excited that you're joining me for today. I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing today, so I hope you are too. Before we get started, I did want to say one thing though, and that is you, my friend, are not lazy. You are just full of potential energy. You see what I did there? So we're going to use that energy and channel that into today's activity. Before we get started on the activity part though, I did want to quickly talk about a career that is going to be tying in to all of this. So what do you guys think a biochemist is? A biochemist is someone who studies both the physical and chemical properties of things that are living. So for example, I'm living, you're living, the trees that are outside are living, the trees that are inside your house, if you have any, are living, the pets, your fish, maybe your dog, we're all living organisms. And so they use their knowledge of properties that are both physical and chemical in order to know how we're made up and how we function. So what they're doing is they're doing research, which means that they're studying and they're doing all of these tests in order to understand things better. So they're doing these tests and learning all of this information about cells. They're learning all of this information about nerves in our bodies. They're learning about the DNA that we're made up of, that your animals are made up of, that the trees outside are made up of. They're studying all of these things in order to, again, be able to better understand how we function, what we need, and how we can develop things like medication that would be beneficial for us. Because that's also something that they're doing. They're developing tests and they're developing medication that is going to identify different illnesses and different diseases and different things that maybe would be beneficial for us. So all of this is stuff that biochemists are doing. And so that's something that you are interested in, then you can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and look up their occupational handbook. And so what they're going to give you there is what exactly they do, what exactly education that you would need to be a biochemist, and what kind of pay. Because sometimes, you know, you're interested in a career and you're like, how much could I make doing this career? And so that's all information that they have in the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the occupational handbook. So if you're interested in learning more information about them, then you can definitely find that there. So give that a try. Today, we are going to be like biochemists and we're going to be studying DNA. So what is DNA? It stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it's a molecule that contains our genetic information. So think of it like a recipe. It's a recipe that's saying all of the instructions that are going to make us up. So for example, it's saying Amairani has brown hair. Amairani has brown eyes. Amairani is 6 feet tall. Just kidding, it doesn't say that because I'm not 6 feet. But it's having all of this information that is going to make up everything about us. So it's a little recipe book that is going to result in you. And that is going to be our first vocab word for today. The other two that we have up are actually going to be in relation to what we're going to be doing today. So we are going to be doing an extraction. What does that mean? So an extraction means that we are going to be taking something out. And then we're going to be doing that via a solution. So it's not math, if that's what you're thinking. A solution in relation to chemistry, which is what a biochemist is using, is a mixture of two or more substances. So it's things like water and soap. It's things like coffee and coffee creamer. So as long as it's 2 or more things that are coming together, that is going to be a solution. So it's a mixture. So what we're going to be doing today is going to be something that is really fun. We're going to be extracting DNA from a strawberry. Yay! So what you're going to be needing today is obviously a strawberry. You are going to be needing salt. You are also going to be needing some water, rubbing alcohol. Make sure that you are using this with parental permission or parental guidance or supervision. You're going to need some dish soap. You are going to need at least 1 clear container. You can definitely have 2, but you honestly only really need 1. So if you only have 1, that's perfectly okay. You're also going to be using toothpicks. You're just going to be using 1. You're going to need a Ziploc bag. It can be this big, it can be a smaller one, it can be a bigger one, whichever one that you have at home definitely works. You're going to be using a rubber band. Be careful with these. And then we're also going to be using some measuring spoons, and you're going to see why. So again, today we are going to be extracting DNA from a strawberry. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take our rubbing alcohol and we are going to put that in our freezer. All right, so I'm going to go and do that really quick, and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So the alcohol, it's recommended that you have that about 30 minutes in the freezer. However, if you have that for less time, it's completely okay. If you have that for more time, it's perfectly fine. It's not gonna freeze. But as long as your alcohol is cold by the time that we use it, that is gonna be perfectly okay. So the next thing we are gonna do is we are gonna take our strawberry and we are gonna put it in a little Ziploc bag. We're gonna seal it so nothing escapes. And then what we're gonna do is just squeeze it and take out some of the air so it's not so hard to squeeze. So I recommend you do that. All right, and then we're just gonna squeeze it. Just turn it into some mush. In some of our videos, we did learn about self-care, and so this is definitely something that is gonna be able to count as self-care, because you know, it might be an outlet. Maybe you're stressed and you don't have a stress ball around, and now you have one, and then it's also going to be contributing to your learning. So squeeze that in there. Ooh, this is kind of what mine is starting to look like. It's kind of be a little pulp, so just make sure that you get it as mushed as you possibly can. All right, let's do another peek at what mine looks like. It's okay if yours does not look exactly like this. Just keep going until you feel like it's at a good place for you. All right. Okay. So the next thing that we are going to do is put our strawberry aside. Okay. Once we're done. I think it needs a little bit more though. Okay. Okay, that seems like it's a pretty good mixture. So this is what mine ended up looking like. Again, if yours needs a little bit more, or if you are thinking that yours needs a little bit more squishing, you have more stress to stress out, then definitely go ahead and do that. But whenever you're comfortable with your mixture, we're going to put that aside. So I'm okay with mine, and I'm going to put this right here to the side. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to take one of our little cups, make sure that it's clean. And again, if you only have 1 cup available, that's perfectly okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take our water, and we are going to take our measuring spoons, and we're going to put 2 teaspoons into our little cup. Oh, there it is. It's taken me a moment to do that, so we're just gonna dump that in there. If you don't have one, then you can just wing it. So that's what our mixture is gonna look like. My strawberry was pretty big, so I think I'm gonna add another one in there, like half of one. All right, so this is our water in here. Put our larger thing of water aside. Next thing we're gonna do is we are gonna take our dish soap and we are going to add 1/4 teaspoon. So it's gonna be a little baby one. So we're gonna add one of these into our mixture. And we are just gonna dump that in there. Okay. Come on, get all of it out. All right, so now that we have that done, we are going to take a little bit of salt. It doesn't have to be too much. It just needs to be a pinch. It's like when you ask your mom how to make something and they're like, oh, just throw a little bit of that in there, a pinch. Or like Mexican moms, más un poquito. That's what we're asking for, just un poquito. Whatever that looks like to you. Just put that in there. Whatever your soul tells you. We're gonna put the excess over here to the side. And then we're gonna take one of our toothpicks and we are carefully going to combine that. All right. This mixture that we have here is actually going to be our extraction solution. So that is our 2 words that we were mentioning earlier. So extraction means to remove, and solution is a mixture of 2 or more substances. So our substances that we combined in here were water, salt, and dish soap. So this all together is our extraction solution. So all together, what that means is this is going to help us remove the DNA from this strawberry mush. All right, so in order to do that, we are going to carefully add in our mixture into our bag. So just pour that in there and seal it back up so that nothing gets out, all right? So we are combining these together. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing we were doing earlier. And we are just going to combine this. And so you start getting this soapy mess. Okay. All right, so once you have your solution that looks like this, we are going ahead and start to prepare for our next steps. This is what it looks like. So now that we have our mixture, we are going to use this paper towel and place that over our transparent or clear cup. So remember, if you only have one, then that's perfectly okay. Just make sure that you rinse it before using it again. But if not, then if you have a second one available, then go ahead and use that one. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take our paper towel, we are going to place it over our little cup, and we are going to tie the rubber band around it. All right, so be careful. The next thing we're going to do is, you see this top, how it's mostly flat? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our fingers and carefully create a little dent inside so that it kind of looks like a little bowl. But just be sure that you are not poking it too rough and that you make a hole through it, because if not, you're just gonna have to start all over again. So just make sure that you're just carefully, if you need a tug from the outside to get that little bowl, then that's fine. So just make sure, again, that you end up with something that is a little bit like a bowl on the inside, okay? Okay, once you have that, you're going to carefully take your strawberry mush and you are going to pour that on top. So carefully. So now that we have our mixture, we're just gonna wait patiently for some of the mixture to fall to the bottom. So that might take a few minutes. And again, mine is pretty small, so I'm not really able to have a lot on my little bowl. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it flow for a little bit, and then we're gonna come back and then we're gonna see how much I collected. It's okay if you don't have a lot. If you only have 1 or 2 drops in there, that's completely okay. It's still going to be able to be used for our experiment, and also it still has DNA in that, in those little drops. So mine actually has about 3 in there right now, so I'm going to give it a few more minutes and we're going to come back whenever we have a little bit more. All right, so this is what I ended up with. So again, it doesn't have to be a lot, because either way, this solution here is going to contain enough DNA for us to sample and to extract. So the next step for us to do is to grab the alcohol that we put in the freezer, and we are going to combine them together. So now that we have our rubbing alcohol and it is nice and cold, what we're going to do is we are going to pour it into our little cup with our strawberry mixture in there. So the amount is going to vary by your preference. So if your cup is obviously a little bit bigger, then maybe you'll need to pour a little bit more. If yours is about my size, then you would just pour enough for you to be able to have layers for it. So all you're gonna do again is you're just gonna pour it, and you just need enough where you will be able to see some of the DNA rise. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So again, you don't have to pour in there the entire bottle, just enough that you are able to see it. And so I am going to pour about this amount. And so what we're going to see is our DNA is going to start separating from this strawberry down here, and they are going to be basically creating these layers. So our strawberry mixture is going to be at the bottom, and our DNA is going to separate from that, and it's going to start floating and rising to the top. You can already see some of the DNA already starting to rise. And so we are going to give it a few more minutes in order to see the final result. All right, so after a few minutes, this is what our final result looks like. As you can see the different layers. Down here we have the strawberry, and then up here you'll start seeing all of the DNA that started separating. You can actually use your toothpick in order to go in there and actually start moving it around. All of this that I'm moving is the DNA of the strawberry. So all of this is the genetic makeup of the strawberry that we just used. Isn't that cool? And so it's a little cloud that we are now able to visibly see. And so all of this is inside all living organisms like you, like me, like the plants outside, the food that we eat, the fruit and vegetables that we eat. All of this is providing the genetic information that make all of us up. And now we're actually able to visibly see it. Isn't that so cool? So you're able to kind of move it around and just play with it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you had a good time and that you learned something new. Just as a review, today we talked about a biochemist who uses their education and their skills in order to learn a little bit more about us living things. In particular, they work with things like genes and genetics, DNA, and they use all of their knowledge in order to be able to learn a little bit more about us, understand a little bit more, and also maybe create new medicines. We again learned about DNA and the importance of that, And then we were also able to use our information that we learned in order to extract DNA from a strawberry. So once again, I hope that you had a good time. I did want to leave you with a little bit of homework though. So I know you're like, homework? Why? It's okay. It's not going to be anything hard, and it's not going to be anything that you're going to get a grade for. I just want to know, what is one thing that your DNA said about you? So for me, it says that I have brown hair and brown eyes. So what is one thing your DNA said about you? Leave that in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you at our next video.